ready to chug some beers and make some bad gambling picks. Welcome to ChuggieBets.
This quite a bit because the Dolphins obviously locked up a playoff spot like a few weeks before the season ended and then totally shit the bed in the playoffs, right? And then you've got the Jags who like totally shit the bed and didn't even make the playoffs. It's like, which one of those is more disappointing? And I almost feel like the Dolphins one is, because the Jags fans can still be like, well, if we just won one more regular season game, then we sneak into the playoffs, and then who knows what could happen in the playoffs, right? I know. I fucking know what could happen in the playoffs, right? Like, there is no question. There's no doubt, like, the Dolphins just were not playoff caliber.
Yeah, I think the answer to that question depends very much on when you ask it. If you're asking it before the wild card round happens, but you're in the playoffs, it's a very different answer. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks making it as a wild card because it's so hard to make a run. It's going to end poorly. So.
But you always take the chance of being in the playoffs, right? You want, because I think that's a successful season. When you look back in the history books, it feels bad right now. But you'll be like, hey, you know what? We had 11 wins that season. If we didn't lose a game to Tennessee in the dumbest fashion ever, we would have hosted a home game. But it was a pretty good season altogether. We just kind of got – and then you can use this card. Great card. Injuries caught up on us. Not like everyone else in the NFL isn't injured, but injuries really caught up on us. Boy, if it wasn't for those injuries, what could we do?
You're right. Everybody's injured, and like you got to look at the teams that lost their starting quarterback. But it really stood out to me when the Dolphins played the Bills. When the announcer said something like, "The Bills are one of two teams where they've had the same 5 offensive linemen start every game the entire season. That's only happened with 2 teams."
Yeah.
The Dolphins have had the most combinations of offensive linemen in the league, right? It's like you compare those two next to each other, and it's just like, yeah, of course, like we were shit by the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't even know if we had 5 offensive linemen in general for the final few games. I think there's 4
defensive linemen.
Yeah, we definitely didn't have 4. We went past the Van Ginkel threshold, I like to call it. When Van Ginkel gets hurt.
That's as far as you want to get in depth. If you get beyond that, you're sinking.
Yeah, like once you pass the Van Ginkel injury threshold, you've got no hope on defense. I've been making fun of Eli Apple to you guys all year, right?
Pete's
and I was
Apple.
like, Eli Apple could not – there can't be anyone worse than Eli Apple. Eli Apple got hurt last game, and you know what they brought in? A white cornerback. I'm like, oh, there it is. That's what happened.
Oh, that's why Eli Apple's been getting so many snaps.
White cornerback is the answer for what's behind Eli Apple. I'm like, I didn't even know that's a thing.
Oh,
yeah, that was.
Yeah.
But
brutal.
in the good news for Miami, you got Cam Ward, Al. You feeling good? You feeling spicy? You love that move?
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, yes. So it sucks because all of anything that's good that happens to Miami is immediately tempered by the fact that Mario Cristobal is going to be the one making decisions.
Doesn't know how to take a knee.
You know what I mean? So like, if I was a fan of a different team and we landed Cam Ward, I'd probably be ecstatic. But it's like, yeah, great. It'll be so much fun watching him win 7 games.
Well, I will say my money would be that the Miami is the favorite to win the ACC. I have not seen the numbers yet, but I'm assuming they're going to be the number 1. The line's good. Everything else is good for Miami, but I think that really puts him over the top. He's the best quarterback in the transfer portal. And he did it. Yeah. And I think Cam Ward made a smart decision because he'll probably be the best quarterback coming out of college next year in the pros instead of like the 9th best this year.
That's who was it that just had their Tua's little brother, Talia Tagovailoa had his red shirt revoked, medical red shirt revoked, so he's got to go pro. Even though I guess like Saban and people were petitioning the NCAA to give him another year. So yeah, so that's someone who would have had a good time. That would have been beneficial to go out next year instead of having to be forced to do it this year. So
yeah. Oh, definitely.
That was where the thought came from.
So, Matt, you said you think Miami will probably be favored to win the ACC. Like, who are the other options? Like,
Clemson
FSU
and
lost
rebuilding
too
FSU.
much, right? Like,
I would imagine Clemson is number 2. NC State would be my third guess. NC State's got a pretty good ball. I think they're going to be pretty good next year. They were
How
good
bad are
this
you
year.
expecting the Seminoles to be next year?
I'd guess 8-4. I would guess 8-4 would be my expectation. 7-5 would be the floor. 10-2 would be the ceiling, somewhere around there. We have to play at Notre Dame. We have to play at Notre Dame. We get SMU put on the schedule too, which in Dallas, which won't be an easy game compared to most of the ACC. That'll be tougher. We do get Cal at home. Thank Christ, that's a tough one. Luckily, the ACC is representing with Berkeley going to Florida State, which I'll probably go to that game.
Yeah, that sounds like a cool one to go to.
yeah.
It does sound like a cool one, but I would expect to be 8-4, 9-3.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good enough to compete for the ACC. Like, I think NC State probably.
Yeah, I would guess NC State would probably be the third favorite, and Louisville will be somewhere in there too. That would be my top 5.
Yeah, I guess Louisville probably gets consideration. They're probably up there. Yeah.
I know people are high on. Maybe it's just Tom Fernelli, but he's high on Illinois next year, Andy. I know this is Dreamer season coming up here, but everyone's talking very. What was the quarterback to end the year for Illinois?
Oh, not Altmaier, the other guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
John.
Shoot. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Bing.
Either way, they have
high
hopes for fill in the blank quarterback.
Really, I thought they were expecting Altmaier to come back and start.
Isaiah Williams?
No, he transferred to wide receiver and then transferred.
No.
Jeff George.
Yes, that's Jeff George.
Why is it?
Yeah,
this is so dumb.
George.
Nathaniel Shieldhouse?
Maybe Bing
That's
actually is
for
better
using
than
Bing.
Google. Yeah.
No, he said he was using Google.
Yeah.
John
All
Paddock.
these dudes look like they played
Paddock.
20 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
John Paddock. John Paddock was good. And I think we're hopeful. I don't know what Illinois' schedule. I can't wait to watch college football next year when the regular season matchup of Oregon kicks off, and I just know it's football. It's football season because nothing spells rivalry like Oregon Rutgers. I think it's the juices going, like Wisconsin going to UCLA.
That sounds like a fun matchup. Like that's like a Rose Bowl matchup.
No, it is fun. It's stupid, but it is fun.
Yes.
Oregon
Rutgers is never going to be a Rose Bowl, but I'm pretty sure I remember watching Wisconsin UCLA play in the Rose Bowl. What's on your melon capper there?
Oh, it's so if you zoom in with your fingers now, it's the Beast.
Oh, nice! Has he got a ball in his mouth or no?
Yeah, he's got the ball in his mouth that was signed by Baby Ruth.
You should get a T-shirt to match with that says "I pickled the Beast" and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
It's funny you should mention anything about a T-shirt. You know that I have the Major League one that I wear all the time.
Yeah,
I got this.
I think so.
Yeah.
Joe Boo. Hell yeah.
Very bad to drink Jabu's rum. Very
Joe
bad.
Boo.
It's just I don't know if you've ever been to that store, but baseball isn't. But man, I can't walk out of there without spending money.
Baseballisms?
Yeah. So they take all the things from pop culture, like 3 Up, 3 Down, and like the Ken Griffey Jr. baseball game, like we grew up with the kids, and put that on T-shirts, hats, and shit like that.
Nice.
Do they have a shirt that says "just a bit outside"? Because I want that.
Just a bit outside.
Oh my god.
Uecker is hilarious. He may be the funniest actor in American cinema history. For that performance in Major League, he's fucking great.
Is he the only person who doesn't look like a huge tool in a tweed suit?
Bob Uecker. Let me take a look at tweed suit Bob Uecker before I say.
I don't know if it's tweed, but you know what I'm picturing? It's like a plaid suit.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
the
know.
good
Like
old
the
Tom.
announcer, he looks like he could be a vacuum salesman in 1964 suit.
It might just be like a blazer, but like, yeah.
Pride the corner.
Bob Uecker has so
Is he
much
still with us,
fucking
Bob Uecker?
drip. Yeah, I think so. Man,
No
what
one
do you
in
think
the
it's like to
history
have a fucking
of-
golden voice? Just like a golden voice.
I don't know. I've
And
had
it's great
multiple
'cause he's
people tell me I
actually a
should voice a
baseball
cartoon
announcer.
character.
Yeah, that's
Andy,
right. 'cause he
your
is, right?
voice is too normal for
To my
cartoons.
face.
Andy, you sound like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
That's basically what they're saying.
You've got a
That's
great
weird.
face for cartoons. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Oh,
All right. You guys ready to do this?
But
Sure.
I do think we need to go back on a quick point, Al. No one has ever said Bob Uecker has so much fucking drip. That combination of words has never been close together. You have actually made a unique thought. And
I
like
don't
that.
think
That's a
true.
unique sentence that happened.
I bet if you typed in Bob
You
Uecker
think
has
someone
so
said
much fucking, it'll autofill drip.
Let's see.
All right, let's see. This is porn. Bob Uecker
has so much.
Just do there.
It doesn't like the profanity.
Yeah.
Has so much net worth.
Oh. Type D and see what comes
Trouble, gas. Ooh, scary. Dopamine.
up.
Dandruff.
There's probably isn't there a website you can be like, has anyone ever searched for this on Google?
Maybe.
Bob Uecker.
I
Bob
promise you,
Uecker
Bob
drip
Uecker
king.
has so much fucking drip, has never been said by anyone, but he does have so much fucking drip. I guess we've all thought it,
Yeah.
but those words have never been typed or spoken.
Now, hey, this is actually a great test for like, is your cell phone listening to you? Because now if we get like pop-up ads for Bob Uecker or like, Bob Uecker sports codes, we'll know
Tweet
that they're
suits,
listening.
Yeah.
He's got like the Jim Nance suit line. I would get a fucking drip suit for sure. He just looks like every old person in the West. If you had he looks like my grandpa and my great grandpa. They all look the same. Just
So
like
I had
Q-tip.
I had a gym teacher in elementary school, and it was a woman. Or she was a woman, but she looked just like Bob Uecker. Exact same face and hair. It was like could be Bob Uecker's sister.
Did she have drip?
No. Well, she had like that like late 80s, early 90s like gym teacher drip. But
Like really short shorts.
But yeah, it's like the
I don't think you're using drip right.
Lack of drip.
Well, welcome to ChuggieBets, everyone. We're going to go over the wild card round, and then we will give you some picks for the divisional round. But before we get to any of that, welcome. Let's chug a beer.
Cheers.
Bob Uecker and his fucking Asahi super dry.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, drippy Bob Ukes. Yo, there's a related images, and it's Red Fox holding the Colt 45. And he looks so happy. He looks so contented.
I see that.
Wait, does Bob Uecker do a Marlboro ad too? Oh, let's see.
He looks like he fucking shoots pool with the Marlboro Man.
He looks like he makes fun of you if you smoke a filtered cigarette because those are for pussies. Like he only smokes Winston unfiltered for sure. He does got drip though. I want to look like Bob Uecker when I'm old.
Yeah.
Or today.
He's just got special genes. The kind of guy who can drink 12 beers an hour and not have a belly. He's just like built different.
That's got to be nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I know college football's over. It's gonna be a while till any on the field action, but there have been some things going on. We already talked a little bit about Cam Ward, Miami. Caleb DeBoer to Bama. What do we think about that one?
I don't think there's been a quicker glow up in college football history than going from I forgot where he was at before. Oh, he was at Sioux Falls.
Okay.
He was at Sioux Falls and won 3 NAIA championships. He went to Fresno State for a year and a half, went to Washington for 2 years, and then to Alabama. That is some fucking fast track shit that he's been on, and he's good. He's good. I don't think he's the right fit, but I'm intrigued.
I think he's the perfect fit because all Bama needs is a sacrificial lamb that can hold recruits for a year or two. Because there's no one who wants to move into that position unless they're getting a shit ton of money to do it. You've got boosters that are expecting instant success. You've got recruits, most of your recruits with a foot out the door because Saban's gone. You've got existing rosters. Your existing roster is probably most of them has a foot out the door because Saban's gone. So it's like his whole time's gonna be spent doing damage control. And if he's able to like come out like break even or like net positive on the recruiting front, that's a win, regardless of what their record is next year. And then see if he can do this thing one more time in a new spot, I guess. But I would assume that within a few years he gets canned, collects his bag from a sunny beach, and then goes and takes like a Nebraska Scott Frost move or something. That's my expectation.
He was already getting paid, right? It's not like he was poor.
He's got to be getting paid a lot more now, though. He's got to be. I don't know. Why would he take it otherwise?
Because it's like the top job. And if you could do it there, you could do it anywhere. New York. It's one of the.
I don't think being a playoff team and a national championship game team who is now moving into the Big Ten is worse.
I mean, he saw what happened when Michael Penix left Indiana. He doesn't want that same thing to happen to him.
I mean, I guess it could be a situation where he knows what he knows what he's got coming up at Washington. Doesn't like it.
He's never been as attractive as he will be right now. So if you want to strike while the iron's hot, in 3. Same thing with Mike Norvell. I think that's why he was entertaining the Alabama job too. You're coming up with 23 wins, and you were snubbed. You have a lot of national media support right now because you were snubbed from the playoffs. In 3 years, you're not going to be that attractive because it won't be that easy. I think you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Have you guys seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Of course.
Classic. Every time I hear the name Kalen DeBoer, I think of the scene in Forgetting Sarah Marshall where what's his face? Jason Segel has to kill the pig. And I'm just picturing Paul Rudd standing there next to him being like, Kalen DeBoer. And that's what I think of. Sorry, I can't not think of it, so I have to say it.
That's good.
Sharing that.
Sonny, what do you got from you're in the South? What is the sentiment around Kalen DeBoer?
Well, let's just I kind of have a lot of the same feelings that Al has. I actually don't think the Alabama job was that enticing. I think that whoever follows Saban is not going to please the masses unless it's like, I don't know, if they had gotten their hands on another SEC coach, the people probably would have been like, oh, give him a couple years or something. But like, you pick this guy out of the Pac-12. The SEC has no respect for SEC fans have no respect for any other football that's out there. So now, like, if this guy doesn't have like a great season and he is in like the toughest fucking conference, like like the SEC West, like who the fuck wants to play in that? He's gonna have a tough season, and people are gonna be calling for his head pretty immediately. So. And I don't even think I think it's anybody that goes into that job.
I mean, do we think anyone in the state of Alabama or any Bama boosters or athletic director there is wise enough to give this man some time and like have patience to actually let him build this out, or are we all in agreement that they're pretty much expecting him to pick up from where Saban left off?
I think that in the state of football, like where it is right now, it's really like how everybody's getting paid. There's a lot of money involved everywhere around it. It's turning into like that whole instant gratification thing. And so, yeah, like if you're like, I think now 3 years top, if you're not performing, the whole like being at a place for 12 years is kind of out the window unless you're winning. Like no more marketing.
Yeah, I would consider giving Kalen DeBoer 3 years being patient.
I
don't think that's patient enough.
Yeah.
Right,
no, I don't think it's patient enough, right?
One of us has a delay. I'm not sure who it is.
Matt, go. Andy, go. Wait, no, Matt, go.
Be patient. I don't think they should be patient. I think if he doesn't have them moving in the right direction or like staying in the right direction right off the bat, like they need to move on. Think about a team like Nebraska that was a powerhouse in the 90s, like winning national championships, competing for national championships. Like they're a joke now. How many times have we made fun of Nebraska since we've been doing this podcast? Like if
almost as much as Miami.
Almost. If a school like that like falls off, it won't be like we'll be explaining to our kids when they're like teenagers, like, yeah, Alabama used to be a big deal. And they'll be like, really? Like nobody gives a shit about Alabama. Like,
can I just say I feel really uncomfortable when you say that about Nebraska, because I feel like you're saying it about Miami, but you're being too nice to say Miami, so you're saying Nebraska, because it's the exact same thing. But yeah,
I feel like that like Alabama wasn't that big of a deal when I was a teenager, and that was less than 20 years ago.
Right.
So I mean, Nebraska.
Circle gets the square. I do think that they have to be reasonable here, right? People are realizing Alabama doesn't have a very good NIL game as everyone's leaving out the door. And they didn't need a good NIL game because you could be coached by Nick Saban. People were taking a pay cut. Now, Miami, Florida State is feasting on Alabama transfers. I think we've gotten 6 so far.
This has got to be best for Ohio State, I would imagine.
I think it's good for Texas. I think it's great for Georgia. I think Georgia is probably the biggest winner here because you're the king now. You are the king of the SEC. You get to choose whoever the hell you want. The other big dog is out the room. LSU's lurking. Texas is lurking. But I thought it was most interesting that, to Chris's point, no one wants to follow Nick Saban because it's a dangerous game. And secondly, you saw the Oregon coach say, I don't want this. You saw the Texas coach say, I don't want this. You saw the Florida State coach, who's not in one of those Power 2 conferences, the Money 2 conferences, say, I don't want that. It's a weird spot because if you are someone who works at Bing, you probably want to eventually work for Google, right? Because they're the top search engine just in general. Like you don't want to work for a secondary search engine when you can work for the best search engine. Bing's a great engine.
You got it backwards there, buddy.
Google. Okay, sorry. I but you get my point. You want to work for the best search engine, like you probably want to work for the best college. But everyone's more interested in building their own franchise. I was surprised Norvell, and maybe he didn't get to that point, but him sticking around was surprising to me.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned Ohio State, and I think you're right, Georgia is definitely the team that's going to benefit most from this, but Ohio State, because Ohio State has a track record of putting dudes in the first round and getting dudes drafted and getting them to the league that gets them paid. And so that is the kind of team that's going to get or really reap the benefits of Saban being gone, because Saban got the lion's share of those dudes who were actually willing to maybe take a cut to be a guy who's most likely going to get drafted. So
yeah,
well,
Georgia does a pretty good job too, getting guys drafted.
That's why I said Georgia is right. It's number one.
you talked about people getting paid. I mean, now we're seeing college players stay back another year, because they have eligibility because they're going to make more money than they make in the NFL. I mean, look at Brock Purdy. He's not even making a mill.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, that's why kids are considering taking less money to go to an Alabama or an Ohio State or a Georgia at specific positions that do get drafted high and often from those schools. Because if you're someone who could make, $2 million going and playing for Miami, or you could make $1 million or something going to Ohio State, you're probably going to take the $1 million and go to Ohio State if you play wide receiver. If you play, I don't know, defensive line, maybe it's closer, but if you go, I don't know, Ohio State, you're like, oh, I'm doing this. It's an investment in my future, right? I'm getting enough money to secure myself for my college career, but I'm not confident as a receiver that Miami's going to get me drafted high enough to get a good pay. Whereas if I go to Ohio State, I can make $10 million my first year. So, and honestly, these kids are 18. I don't even know if they're even having these conversations in their head, but it's what I would be doing if I was in the position.
Yeah. And then, real quick, just to close out this conversation, DeBoer leaves Washington to go to Alabama. Jedd Fisch leaves Arizona to go to Washington. And then, does anybody know who's going to Arizona?
I heard.
Is it the BYU guy?
San
Is it
Jose
San Jose
State.
State?
Brent Brennan going to
Brent
Arizona.
Brennan?
Brent Brennan.
It's like two douche names.
It's a firsty. So I don't have any thoughts on that. I just think it's interesting because every time one domino falls,
Yeah, they just keep going.
Yep.
Jedd Fisch is interesting because he's had a really weird career. If you look at his Wikipedia, look how many jobs Jedd Fisch has had. If you look from like 1996, he's had like 18 different coaching jobs.
Every year.
And he's never played very long. I think he was at University of Miami as an offensive coordinator for like 7.5 games before he left.
When I got to Jacksonville, Gus, he moved from Miami as the OC to the Jags, like quarterbacks coach, I think, or maybe it was OC. And I went to this event at the Jags Stadium, and Gus Bradley was there. And I was like, Gus, where's Coach Fisch? And he looked at me, and he like stopped for a second, and I could tell he was like, because I'm like a large dude. He was like, are you a former player or something? What is this event I'm at? And then he was just like, not here. And I was like, oh, this is funny. Seeing the gears turn. But yeah, Jedd Fisch is the man who, like, he's got that stick and what do they call it? The hobo stick?
Bindle.
Bindle?
Yeah, bindle. Yeah, stick and bindle. That man does not unpack.
Yeah, the longest he's been anywhere is 4 years at Baltimore. And then 3 years at Arizona.
He's a weird job. And I kind of feel bad for Arizona because we're going to be a top 10 team going into the season. They showed a ton of promise, but your boy's got to get it back. And he doesn't stay very long. I don't know if he'll be good there at all. He is an ultimate wild card. He can be good. He's been good some places. He's been really bad some places. He's a pendulum.
I think Washington feels like about Jedd Fisch's ceiling. Especially at this time when the Pac-12 is. Well, I guess it's going to the Big Ten now, so he'll probably be out of his depth.
Hang on, I got to timestamp this so I can post this to TikTok in 6 years when Jedd Fisch wins his third national championship at Washington, and then takes the Ohio State job.
Yeah.
Hey, one thing we didn't talk about was anybody surprised that Dabo wasn't even in the talks for the Alabama job?
Super surprised because I thought he was the natural heir apparent, but I think his inability to do more with the changing landscape of college football condemned him to being stuck at Clemson. Not saying it's a bad thing, but I think he is stuck there forever because he's got to grow up. He's got to fucking grow up.
He's like,
well, we're in the name, image, and likeness of God. It's like, all right, bud, that's great. get fucking players. Go get wide receivers. Enough
He's
of
like
this
the guy in the
nonsense.
friend group who's like loudly religious, and so like people just him to things. That's what I feel like Dabo is.
Guys, paint a picture in your head. Everyone has that friend in the friend group that likes to die on hills that are just unnecessary to die on, but they get so entrenched in that spot.
We don't
Think
have one
about
of
that
those.
person.
We don't have one of those.
I have a whole friend group
That's
full of
Dabo's.
those.
I think we might have 5 of those. All right. We're about halfway through the pod. I think that's a good time to transition over to NFL. If nobody has anything else they desperately need to get off their chest. Our first week of the NFL playoffs was not the prettiest week we've had. Danny was 3-2, Matt was 2-2, and they were in the lead. So you can imagine how the rest of us did. But that's the beautiful thing about football. There's always another week coming. So we will give you our picks for this week coming up. But before we do that, we have some compliment sandwiches to hand out. There were 6 teams eliminated: Cleveland, Miami, Pittsburgh, Philly, the Rams, and Dallas. Would anybody like to volunteer to give us a compliment sandwich for the great city of Cleveland?
Only if we're going to talk about
the mistake
real
on the
estate
lake,
agent.
baby.
Go for it, Matt.
I'm sure you'll dig up some real estate numbers, but the mistake on the lake. Honestly, you guys had a pretty good season, all considered. I can't believe you got as far as you did. Historically good defense, pretty good coaching job by Stefanski, all things considered. You had Joe Flacco, and that's an adorable story. But I think someone on this podcast said that Joe Flacco was going to turn into a pumpkin, and it was me who said that likely last week. And boy, that pumpkin showed the fuck up because as he turned the ball over for his 3rd pick six. But the defense is good, and we could say what we want about Deshaun Watson and him as a human being. But if he gets playing ball again, that team can be really dangerous next year. So you may have a problem in your hands in the AFC.
How much longer of a leash do they have with Deshaun Watson? Because he has been ass to begin with, even when he's been healthy. And he's either been ass or hurt. And is this 3 years or going on to his 3rd year?
No, he played half of last year because he was suspended. Came back like halfway through the year last year.
Yeah, so it's 2nd full year of his right, but he's been on their books for 2 seasons already.
Yeah.
And hasn't done jack shit, and he doesn't look like he's going to.
Yeah, I don't know.
The leash is a guaranteed $252 million. That's
right.
what the leash is.
I think it's realistic that his performance dictates, forces Cleveland's hand to make a decision there. But obviously, they can't hamstring the franchise for like several years. So, at what point are they able to do that? I wonder. Probably not next year.
I thought the game was really interesting because everything they gave up for Deshaun Watson looked tremendous in that game against Deshaun Watson's new team, right? The Browns gave him 3 first-round picks, and they got C.J. Stroud and talent. They looked awesome. It looked like that they may be the winners of that trade pretty handily.
Yeah,
I think for sure. And then you don't have him in your building, which is also a win.
It's good for everybody in Houston.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to give us a compliment sandwich for the great city of Miami?
I think that sounds like Andy territory.
Mine would just be filled with tears. So no, I can do it. So on the plus side, I was on a conference call today where everybody was going around and telling the temperature of the city that they were in. And we were a good 100 degrees warmer than some of the places that my colleagues were calling from.
Oh, yeah, negative.
Yeah, negative 27 for my colleagues in Chicago.
Lord.
Yeah, and it was like in the 80s here today. So,
oh my God, that's like
can't beat that.
Over 100.
Can't beat that. On the downside, your fantastic offense looked like shit the last month of the season and into the playoffs. You have to make a huge decision about whether you're going to pay a quarterback that has not proven that he can do it when it counts. And you're about to get a new Grand Theft Auto game about your city. So that's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody want to add anything to that?
Nope, I don't.
All right. Who wants to volunteer for Pittsburgh?
I'll do Pitt. I'll do Pitt. So I gotta commend Mike Tomlin for really standing up to the media when they simply asked him about his contract situation, and he just straight up dipped. That's a real that's a sign of a great leadership, Mike Tomlin. Love it. I think the job Mike Tomlin did with Pitt this season, this Pittsburgh, is pretty remarkable. That they made the playoffs, and I would think no one thinks that team has much talent anywhere outside of TJ Watt. So I mean that's a roster that's in shambles and needs help. But to put a shiny little bow on the end here, I kind of think Kenny Pickett is him, or at least him enough to be him. I mean, they were working with 3 different quarterbacks this year. I think Kenny Pickett. I think here's the thing, because if you guys are only listening, Matt made the most ridiculous face at that comment. I think Kenny Pickett has some talent. I think Matt Canada and that shit offense really derailed it. I would like to see Kenny Pickett. Basically, what I'm saying is don't draft a quarterback this year. And they're not going to be in a position to do that anyway without mortgaging their future. So get a good OC and see what Kenny Pickett has next year.
Interesting.
That's a bad sandwich.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a sandwich. But all right.
I don't want to eat that sandwich. It's
Sunshine, you want to take us to Philly?
Sure, yeah. Let's just, Philadelphia.
Born and raised.
Hey guys, hold on. I gotta step out on this. Damn,
I
had a really good one too.
Yeah.
They got cheesesteaks.
Go ahead, Matt.
Philadelphia has a growing economy, especially when it comes to houses. So, as the 4th biggest television market, you'd be like, hey, it's probably strapped. No, a lot of good real estate opportunities still in Philadelphia. Super important. The north side is right to be developed, so that's great. I think it's great that you guys went 10-1 and then lost 6 of your last 7. I think that's hilarious because the amount of Philadelphia fans who are telling me that this is it and Jalen Hurts is him just makes me laugh because Jalen Hurts may be him, but he ain't him right now. You watched that game last night. You saw how mad Dallas Goedert was with Jalen Hurts. You could tell there was trouble in paradise in general. But it was still a pretty good season, all things considered, right? You win 11-6. It's pretty damn good. And you do have a lot of good pieces there. I know a lot of the older pieces are going to retire, but you've drafted okay. I don't know what I'm doing here. And Nick Sirianni may get fired. And I think that may be a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but I feel it's a mistake for you. I didn't do
I saw a thing where Nick Sirianni talked shit to Chiefs fans when they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. And then they went on a 1-9 skid after that or something stupid. But it made me think about Sean McDermott in Buffalo and how they were 6-6 when news broke about him using Al Qaeda as a motivational tactic or whatever it was. And, the 9/11 hijackers. And they have not lost a game since. So,
I don't
know. I think that's Nick Sirianni's problem.
Food for thought.
Buffalo is always been a pro-Al Qaeda town. Everyone knows this. Terrorism and international terrorism.
Weather terrorism.
If Nick Sirianni gets fired, has there ever been a coach that took a team to the Super Bowl and then got fired the next season?
I'm sure.
Who took their team to the playoffs? Who took their team to the damn playoffs? He would have the greatest record for someone being fired of all time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He doesn't deserve it. He clearly lost the locker room, right? Like I think we can understand that. Like there was a piece of the puzzle missing, but that can happen. These are grown ass men. It's hard to keep all the grown ass men.
I kind of think he took a roster that Doug Peterson built and chemistry that Doug Peterson built and just slowly tanked it. So I don't think maybe he's not any good to begin with.
I don't know if you guys remember his introductory press conference. He looked like a crazy person. He looked like the craziest coach to get hired since Adam Gase got introduced to the Jets. That's my all-time favorite. But Nick Sirianni's a close second. Like, we all thought he was nuts, and this was absolutely not going to work. He took a team to the Super Bowl, but like maybe that was a fluke, and like maybe we were right in the first place. I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
He couldn't formulate a sentence. Like every sentence was just him stumbling on the words. It looked like he had never spoken the language. I would have really respected him if Spanish was his first language or Italian was his first language. Yeah. He looked like English was foreign to him.
Sometimes it may be good, but sometimes it may be shit.
Oh, and with that, let's take it to the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know if you guys remember this, but for some reason it has stuck with me for an entire year. When we gave the LA Rams a compliment sandwich last year, Sunshine did it, and his bread of his compliment sandwich was that LA is a lovely, new-smelling city. And I've thought it was funny for an entire year, so I'm going to go with that as the bread on the compliment sandwich.
Like it smells like you just bought a car and got in it.
Yeah, you'd have to ask him, but it was hilarious.
Freshly laid pavement.
In the middle of that sandwich, the shit part, I don't have a ton, honestly. Like, you overperformed. You probably shouldn't have made the playoffs. You did.
Get some defenders.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
And Puka Nacua, am I right?
Hell yeah.
Puka Nacua, am I right, boys?
Puka Nacua. Listen, something about like these Polynesian men that like they're built different. Like they literally are. Like he is not large, but he's so hard to bring down. It's like he can, it's like when people do like the kung fu and they can like. You see like the monks and it's like you can't move the monk. They can like connect to the ground. I swear there's some like mental shit. They're like immovable objects. It's not racist if you say something about a whole people and it's good, right? Only if it's bad.
Okay. You're fine. That's
okay.
All right. And then Matt, would you like to give us or who would like to give us a compliment sandwich for Dallas? Matt, you want to do it? Al?
No, Al. Do you got a Dallas statement?
Oh, Sunshine. You just shut up.
Hey.
Talk to us about Dallas.
Sandwich.
Yeah. Hey, I can hop on Dallas. Yeah.
Like Debbie, baby.
Sunshine does Dallas.
It's a hit, guys. Everybody should see it. Yeah. Dallas. Dallas, you're a fantastic place to visit, as well as a fantastic place to move your family. If you're looking to relocate the real estate in Dallas.
How's this?
Dallas, how do you do this to your fans?
Right?
Yeah. Oh, great schools. Hey, listen, fantastic metropolitan area. They're surrounding the entire place. I mean, hey, if you go northwest, great. Southeast, great. I'm trying to
McKinney, Arlington, Fort Worth,
Fort Worth, whole metro area.
The fucking metro of that city never ends. I thought the metropolitan of my city never ended. No, it's got nothing on Dallas at all. Nowhere close. So, all right, Dallas, though, great place to visit. How do you continue to do this to your fans over and over and over and over and over every year? Everybody's like, "Oh, this is the fucking year." You came out and you wowed some teams, and then you lost in some questionable games, but you kind of melted down there at the end, and nobody was surprised, and that was weird. It should be weird.
We watched this team get blown out by Arizona, and people thought this team was going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, to go back to that, I mean, Dallas, great place to visit.
Dallas?
To Dallas.
Dow them.
Cheers to the Cowboys.
I think it's ironic that you have Bill Murray behind you because every season with the Dallas Cowboys is Groundhog Day. I wake up, they lost the playoffs again. They're firing Dak. Jerry Jones hates his coach. He's looking around a new coach. I wake up on, what is it, January 15th, and it's always the same goddamn story every year. It is Bill. I'm Bill Murray in Groundhog Day.
Who's Andy McDowell? Because she can get it. Oh, Andy.
So, hey, since you mentioned it, Matt, how much time do you think Dak has? Because I think Dak is good. I don't think Dak's bad.
I think Dak is fine. I think their offense is fine. I don't think there was anything wrong with Tony Pollard. He underperformed. CeeDee Lamb was great. Ferguson's good. I don't know. They're mentally weak or something. I know Bill Belichick's been in Dallas already, and not saying that's the fix, but I know Jerry Jones will throw a boat of cash just to get a name. So I think that would be an interesting combination there, and see if he'll instill some toughness. And I don't even know what the fuck that means.
I think Dak is the QB equivalent of like Pete Carroll or Mike Tomlin. This like, you're good, but like we're sick of like this good. We want great, and like they might cut bait just because of that. But I don't know. Mike McCarthy, what a dipshit.
What a dipshit indeed.
I bet he'd be cool to have a beer with. He seems like pretty chill.
I'm not a fan. I don't know why. Just always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a favorite athlete of the week they would like to share?
I think I'm gonna go with Baker Mayfield. I think he's like the comeback kid.
He stole mine.
He's likable.
I was gonna do that for all my short kids out there. Good.
I mean,
my athlete of the week was. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Go ahead.
I'm done. It's Baker Mayfield.
My athlete of the week was the guy that was sitting on that corner in the Eagles-Bucks game who threw a bucket of popcorn and landed it right on Nick Sirianni as he walked by.
Yeah, that's athletic.
As security tried to catch him. I think he got away. There's a rumor, but there's Instagram videos of him everywhere. He's my athlete of the week. He got away from it.
I love the end of that video when it's just a random dude in a Dolphins jersey. He just kind of looks like he doesn't know what's going on. It's like that, like the guy wearing a Dolphins jersey at the Eagles-Bucks game. That fits.
All right, Al, do you have a favorite athlete of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit earnest here and go with, we're going to give Jared Goff his flowers. I think he was 22 of 27 for 270 yards, 80% completion percentage. He played lights out. Lions looked fantastic, at least in the first half.
They did.
I'm pretty sure it must have been on the podcast as well, but definitely in real life, when that Stafford Goff trade happened, I was beside myself. I was not a Jared Goff fan. I thought that was the worst decision the team could have made. Obviously, when you shift those picks into what they became and he puts together the season he has, I think he's really grown as a quarterback. So Jared Goff, well done, athlete of the week. Do it again next week.
Nice, I like that.
Do you think?
All right.
You think Jared Goff is better? Do you think Jared Goff is more of a Detroit than Matt Stafford because he won a playoff game? Matt Stafford is a hell of a career in Detroit.
Yes.
Who do you hold in higher regard?
Well, that's two different
He's gonna have to
questions.
win more playoff games.
I think everyone thinks Stafford is the better quarterback as far as like arm talent goes, and he has like a lot more likable qualities in terms of like moxie and toughness and things like that. Jared Goff, though, got the team a playoff win, and that's something that almost every living Lions fan has not seen. So yeah, he is like number one of the bullet as of this week.
All right. And the last topic I have down here before we get to our actual picks is fired coaches. I believe last week we recorded on Wednesday, and on Thursday morning, the GOAT, hurts me to say that because Don Shula should be the GOAT still, but the best coach of all time, Bill Belichick, parted ways with the New England Patriots. Do you have thoughts on that?
I just think it's weird that people want to hire him. I don't see it. I don't know why.
I think the Cowboys makes a ton of sense just because Jerry Jones likes to be splashy and be in the news but yeah, apart from that, if I'm the Titans, right, like, is this the guy that I want to bring in for like a long rebuild? There's no way he coaches more than a year or two. So like if
anything, I'd want to get like an interview just to like pick his brain. But like I imagine it's gonna be like all those like press conferences. He'd be like, yeah. No.
Was it him or was it Tom Brady?
It was Tom Brady.
It was Tom Brady.
For the longest time, I said it was Belichick, and then Tom Brady went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl, and Bill Belichick sank that team and couldn't pick anybody. Really, it was Bill Belichick, the GM, that sank the Patriots. I think as a coach, he's probably fine. So I think that would be the thing. If someone could hire him as a coach, if there's a separate GM drafting players.
Yeah, I mean, I still think it was a combination, right? Like to be that good, like there's no way he's a garbage coach and like Brady just elevated him that much for that long. Like he has to, at the very minimum, be a very solid coach.
Yeah.
Plus, he did it a lot of these seasons when Brady was hurt, right? He made Matt Castle look like a fucking all-star.
That was back when the Pats still had a good defense.
All right. Bill Belichick. Yeah. I hope he doesn't come back. I hope he never coaches another game again and Shula's records remain intact.
It would probably be fun to see him coach in Dallas and get them to the playoffs and then get bounced in the first round.
All right.
Bill Murray.
Boys ready to do some picks?
Let's do it.
So the first game of the week is Saturday at 4:30 p.m. The Texans just cannot get a Sunday playoff game, which is hilarious. The Texans are playing the Baltimore Ravens. Al, you've got to pick on this. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm laying 9 with the Ravens. I think this is a spot where everyone goes, oh, look at what the Texans did to the Browns. The Browns are good. See what Joe Flacco did when he was with the Browns? And it's like everyone's too high on the Texans. I also think people are sleeping on the Ravens some here because we haven't seen them really play all of their starters for 2 weeks, almost 3. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens like blew out the Texans.
Okay. Chris, would you like to refute that?
Yes, I would. I do think that Baltimore is the better team, but I don't think that they're 10 points better. I think that with CJ Stroud at the helm, the Texans have began proving themselves. You know, you got a lot of doubters out of there that have been flipped. I mean, if Baltimore comes out and hangs 2 touchdowns over them, and will I be surprised? No, I think Baltimore is going to win the Super Bowl, but I think the Texans will hang with them.
Yeah.
May I be allowed to try and sway you?
Of course.
I've got a little bit of info here. So, because I was interested in this earlier today, I looked at of the teams remaining, how many of their games have been 1-score games and how many haven't been, and what their records were in those games. Anyone want to guess how many? So we'll say not 1-score games. Any 2+ score games the Ravens were in, and / what their record was.
I'm gonna say they were in a bunch and they won most of them.
Yeah, they were 9-0 in games that were decided by 2 or more scores. The Texans were 3-4 in that situation. Texans actually were 7-3 in 1-score games, so they're last year's Vikings. So I think they're a little bit lucky. Obviously, I think they're trending in the right direction toward the end of the season. CJ Stroud is a stud, but I think this Ravens defense is like vastly underrated. I think we'll see that this week.
I'm also like, I believe if I'm like, please correct me if I'm mistaken, but don't the Ravens now have Dalvin Cook on their team?
I think that might be right.
All right, so maybe I will flip that because it's just something about a Seminole being on that Super Bowl winning team.
There's probably other Seminoles on that team.
Oh yeah.
That are more impactful.
No, I don't know about that.
So I've got a couple of picks on this game as well. Al, I can't really dispute anything that you said. I will say, however, though, that Houston, I'm not saying they're like a team of destiny or anything. I think the Ravens are going to bounce them this week. But I think they have the ability to keep it close. They almost feel like one of those teams where they don't know that they're not supposed to be there, right? Like Matt, you remember like the 2003 Marlins? I know you do. They were one of those like young, scrappy teams that just didn't know they weren't supposed to be able to do that, right? Like they won the World Series.
I didn't know I couldn't do that.
I'm not saying that the Texans are going to do that necessarily, but with a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, like they're not supposed to be doing what they're doing, and they just
they're playing with house money.
So I think they can keep it close, and I think this one's a low-scoring game, which obviously helps with the cover. So I'm taking Houston plus 9.5 and under 45 in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a fair shot that the Texans have the ball in their hands with a chance to backdoor it. That's a real possibility.
Matt, you have thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Has Lamar Jackson been in the playoffs the last two seasons when the Ravens were eliminated? Because I know the Ravens got eliminated early both last two seasons, but I think he was hurt. I think it was Huntley both times.
It was last year. It was not Lamar for sure. 2 years ago, I don't remember. I think he might have been hurt then too.
Yeah, it's not been surprising to see the Ravens get bounced early, but I do think there is 16-mile-an-hour winds expected in Baltimore this week, and that number may go up. And that's not as comfortable as the dome experience they enjoy in Houston. And Baltimore's a tough team, so I'm kind of leaning with Al here.
All right.
Yeah. What are the chances that both Harbaughs win the championships?
Wow.
Oh, God, insufferable.
It's just like a milk chug off at the next day. They just start flexing on each other.
I do think John is by far the more likable Harbaugh.
Yeah, 100 times more likable.
Yes. That is not a hot take. That is not an original thought.
Yeah.
People have said that before.
I have a good segue here, actually, to the next game. So I do think – so we've got 2 1 seeds who were on a bye last week and rested all their starters the week before. They're going to be looking at almost 3 weeks since their last game action. That, to me, that is a formula for at least one of these teams to come out disappointing. I would not be surprised if one of these 2 teams between the Ravens and the Niners just lost outright. And based on my picks, it's not the Ravens, but it could be. So I could be totally wrong on that one, and you guys could be right. Houston could make that one really interesting. But my money's going on the other side, and I'm going to take Green Bay plus 10 out west.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of us on that. I am also on Green Bay plus 10. It's another one where I don't expect them to win. I think San Francisco probably still wins, but 10's a lot of points in the NFL. So I'm taking the 10 as well. I'm also on the under here. Probably won't be quite as cold in San Francisco as it is in Baltimore, but good defense in San Francisco. We'll go under in that one.
I think this total's moved up since you took it too, Andy. I think it's like 52.5 or something now. We might want to check it.
Some CLV.
And since I just have these stats pulled up, so San Francisco 11-2 this season in 2+ score games. They're just 1-3 in 1-score games. So if Green Bay is keeping this one close, you should probably consider betting them on the spread and or money line live.
I like that a lot. Sonny, are you backing them?
Yeah, you're on this with us, Robin.
Yeah, I think somebody said it earlier on this podcast, but Jordan Love was playing excellent. I think that Green Bay is a different team than the Green Bay that faced Atlanta at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, I'm with them, the +10. And y'all mentioned what's the weather in Baltimore for the game? I didn't check, but
it's very windy expected.
Yeah. I feel like I should definitely hop on the under for that. Any game where it's cold, like I generally go under. And if it's going to be cold and windy. So,
all right.
Yeah.
And then Matt,
let me have the floor here.
Yeah.
I got you guys. So Andy, you said it's hard to keep a game within 10 to have a big number or a big point differential. What happened this week? How many games were close?
Yeah, I knew you were going to go there.
One of them?
One of them,
just one. Right? San Francisco's a fucking wagon. Jordan Love has had a great season. Your boy's getting undressed this week. It is Joe Flacco of last week coming back at it. I think Jordan Love will be really good. But I've seen Aaron Rodgers go into this exact game with Green Bay and lose by 30 multiple times. Jordan Love's good. He ain't Aaron Rodgers. I expect this to not be particularly close, especially with San Francisco at home. They're a mean bunch. They've been resting everyone. And I'm not betting against Shanahan unless he's playing Belichick. Give me the 49ers and lay the 10.
Interesting.
Also, it is a good time to remind everybody Matt was the only one who was net positive last week. So, food for thought there.
So I had a thought while you were talking there because you're talking about all the blowouts. And I've been feeling really bad about the Dolphins game, right? Because it was shitty. But I'm looking at it right now, and I'm just doing math in my head, so I could be wrong.
I think it's technically the third closest, or maybe.
Yeah, so they were. That actually makes me feel a little bit better. The only games that were closer are Detroit and LA and Green Bay, Dallas. All the other games were bigger blowouts than Miami losing by 19.
Yeah, we did it, boys.
Yeah.
We made it.
Yeah, I did that math on Sunday, I think, or Monday, I guess, and I was gonna text you guys as a consolation for Dolphins
Moral
fans.
victories.
But
That's all I got.
But since you're the second closest, I was like, it's not worth it.
All right, and then moving into Sunday at 3 p.m., the very surprising Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing Al's Detroit Lions. Al, we will clear out and let you go, and then we'll jump in behind you.
Yeah, so these two teams played in week 6, and the Lions won comfortably. So you'd say, 20-6, that's a pretty comfortable win. They're only 6-point favorites here, and this one's going to be at home and not Tampa. So why am I taking Tampa Bay +6? Well, if you watched that game, you may have noticed that Tampa Bay missed at least three wide open, deep shots, just bad throws, overthrew his receivers, but they were open by miles. Now, the Lions secondary, the safeties in particular, have played a lot better since that game. There were some injuries, this and that, but if anyone who watched Tampa on their recent run here, Baker's been cooking. So he's been dropping dimes. I mean, I think his only deep shot against James Bradbury yesterday that wasn't completed was that one to Mike Evans that hit him in the hands and he dropped. So it scares me. I think my favorite bet is going to be whatever Mayfield's longest completion number is. Take the over on it. He's going to hit a deep ball or two. The Lions have given up a lot of big play, explosive touchdowns, even when they've been playing quote unquote better defense lately. So I think it's going to be tough for Detroit to run away with this one. I think Tampa is going to have a shot to cover the 6. I still think the Lions are going to win, though. That's it.
All right, Matt, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't feel good about this. I do think Tampa Bay keeps it close. I do think Detroit wins. I'm going to roll you, but I feel like Detroit wins a lot of games that are kind of close-ish. But they're the considerably better team, especially in the offensive side. Mayfield played good yesterday. I don't want anyone to think he played great. I do think the Eagles secondary was atrocious, especially on the tackling components of that game. They were very bad. I think there had to be 120 yards after the catch on those 3 long touchdowns. It was like laughably bad as far as their tackling. But
Yeah.
I do think the game stays close. Like I said, this would be my cover your ears, Al. If I had to pick an upset, this would be the upset I would pick. But
yeah, I think so great. Go ahead.
I don't think it happens. I just think that it stays close.
Yeah. So Lions were 5-3 in 1-score games this year, which is the best win percentage of the teams left in the playoffs. Or no, behind Houston. I think the fact that the Lions finally got that playoff win and it's an emotional win, it's a negative for them this week. Typically in those spots, teams don't show up the next week. And then Tampa's playing with house money. They're looking so good. The only thing that kind of makes you question Tampa here is just how bad the Eagles are. I mean, I had that game on. I wasn't paying super close attention to it the whole time, but Philly was at least on defense. That was a defense that quit like a long time ago. They were checked out for sure. Like the tackling was abysmal. Like Matt just said, dudes were running wide open the whole time. It's like that. I don't know if that is Tampa being really good or Philly just quit, and Tampa just got the benefit of it. So who knows?
And then Sunshine, you've got to play in this one too, right?
Yes, I do. That is correct. So I'm going Tampa Bay +6. Al's going Tampa Bay +6. I'm tailing Al.
All right. So I'm the only one not on this Tampa Bay +6. I think the Buccaneers special season wild fun ride might be over here. I think Detroit blows them out.
I
don't think
so.
Dan Campbell's the kind of coach that's gonna be taking the sentimental victory. Like, hey guys, we won a playoff game. That's good enough. Like, just
no, for sure. Dan Campbell's like a game changer, right? So.
Also, do you have any idea how mad it makes me that Dan Campbell was a Dolphins coach and we,
yeah, probably very. But a lot of people, even up after he got hired in Detroit, a lot of people thought it was a shit hire and he was a joke. But look who's laughing now, bitches.
All right, and then the last game of the weekend, Sunday at 6:30, which is so much better of a start time for the last game of the evening. 6:30, that's beautiful. It'll be over in time for me to get to bed and up for work on Monday morning. These 8:20, 8:30 start times are for the birds. Kansas City's going into play. Buffalo, hopefully there'll be a little less snow there this time. I am taking Kansas City in a teaser. They're at 2.5. It's a perfect number to tease up to 8.5. The downside is there's not a good long leg to pair it with. So I would pair it with either Detroit from -6 to a pick, or Baltimore from -9 to -3. Neither of those are Wongs, but they're both still kind of in key ranges. I'm definitely going to tease Kansas City, and I'll pair it with one of those. Honestly, in real life, I'll probably pair it with both. I'll do 2 separate teasers. And for my money, this is the one that's most likely to be an upset, which is kind of unfair because it's the lowest spread, right? So it would be the least of an upset. But I think Kansas City, if they show up and play the way they're capable of, can absolutely hang with Buffalo. But I think everybody else disagrees with me. So, Matt, you want to kick it off? Tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed with Kansas City last week. I know they beat the Dolphins by a lot, but they left a lot on the field, and it's been a perpetual trend. Travis Kelce dropped 3 balls. Valdez-Scantling couldn't come back to a ball that he was wide open on. Look, the Dolphins, that was the most boring offensive performance I've ever seen from a team that scored 70 points in the same season. They did nothing to challenge, and Tua looked discouraging. But I don't think it was anything Kansas City did as much as the headspace was bad. I think Buffalo's rolling. I think ever since the Al-Qaeda comments, he's found something that inspired the team. A burning ball a fire inside each and every one of them.
They're soaring.
They're soaring.
Um,
They're explosive.
yeah. I really love Buffalo this week. I love that we're getting it under 3. I love that it's in Buffalo. I love that Josh Allen is hosting Patrick Mahomes instead of having to go to Kansas City. I love how Kansas City looks mostly like dog shit on offense. I do think Rashee Rice has come on of late, and that has like all season long, the Chiefs have been waiting for one person to be that guy to draw attention away from Travis Kelce so that Kelce can get in the mix, and no one has stepped up. But lately, Rashee Rice has looked really good in that spot. So I also think if Buffalo's defense's focus is on eliminating him, if they can put something like their best corner on him and make him, less productive, then, the blueprint's out on how to stop Travis Kelce, right? You double team him basically, or you bracket him the entire game, and force their other guys to beat you. The only thing that makes me sort of concerned with this Bills pick is the state of their defense. Like, I know they've got a lot of guys injured. They had some dude they just brought in off the couch that had 11 tackles for him this past week. So they seem to be holding up. But I really think this is just going to be Josh Allen's moment. Got to get the Mahomes bugaboo monkey off his back.
Sunshine, what do you got in this one?
Well, I'm telling Al with with Buffalo, I agree with everything he just said. I came to all that on my own conclusion, but he said it. It was great. And this one I am going with the under because it's supposed to be like 10 degrees or something there, or like feel like 10 degrees.
Nice.
So
one last thought before we get to wrap this up is our member of our podcast that is most likely to espouse NFL conspiracy theories is not here. So I'm going to do this in his honor. Are any of you worried that the NFL would like to keep the Swifties around into the next round of the playoffs? Because there is a non-zero chance that they think that those thousands of female fans that don't normally watch could be good for them going into the next couple of rounds. So anybody afraid of that in this game?
I think it was just to get their money for Peacock. Now that they've done that, they can be cut from the script.
All right.
Yeah, no, Peacock was the big winner of the weekend for sure. They had the biggest win with 25 million. They were saying internet usage was at an all-time high in America with that game going on because it was streaming, and everyone who watches that is of a younger generation is also streaming on their phone simultaneously or watching TikTok at the same time. Internet usage was higher during those hours than it had ever been in the United States. So good on them. I think you're right. And that kind of makes me want to take back the Buffalo bet. I think we always talk about the NFL being scripted, and the Travis Kelce relationship seems scripted, and he seems like he's been dog shit. This seems like a perfect coming out, like he's been dropping balls on purpose. You're going to see 15 catches, 200 yards. And you may see Kansas City go off.
And how about if Kansas City ends up in the Super Bowl, the halftime show is Usher. How about if Taylor Swift comes out and does something with Usher at halftime? Like, those girls' minds will be blown.
I got you, Matt. That was a good one.
Yeah, it'd be the best halftime show since 1989.
Oh shit!
Usher knows how to shake it off for sure.
He does.
Oh wow!
Blank space.
All right. That's enough podcasting for one evening. Thank you, gentlemen. Good luck to everybody. Oh, sorry.
ChuggieBets.
Al, what are you on?
Yeah, Buffalo minus 2.5.
I'm going to the under in the first game of the weekend, Texans at Ravens. Matt, what do you got?
Buffalo laid the 2.5 as well.
All right, and Sunshine, what do you got for ChuggieBet?
I'm gonna do Buffalo for 200, Andy.
I need you to say what is Buffalo, please.
What is Buffalo for 200, Andy?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow our picks. We're due for a big week this week. And good night, Kent.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everyone. We love you. We miss you.
Good evening.
Good night.